the first episode of Season 2 of the Mustapha's Game Room podcast, also known as our E3 Power Hour. Now, if you notice, to the right of me and below me are not Jeremy and James. Weird, right?
Nope, not them.
Traded them in for someone way better, way cooler. This right here, May Mullen, introduce yourself to the squad.
Why, hello, I'm just so honored to be here in this video games. I love it. I love video games.
Hey, you know, games are the bee's knees, and that's why we're back here a year on. And, like, it's so cool, because I might not have actually announced that we were doing a year break in the first place, but that's totally fine, because I'm an online content creator, and I make my own rules.
And you're making up for it with this special guest star.
Yes.
I guess it's a guest star because I'm.
Yeah, you're kind of permanent
I'm just
now.
a new actor.
For those of you who remember, we did E3 coverage last year. Obviously, that's the plan again for this year. Jeremy and James won't be a part of it this time. They're still around, but you know they got stuff going on.
We killed them off in the Super time.
Some of you may remember from the Ubisoft and Sony stream, we had Nick who was with us. He'll be back for most of the E3 streams. Yeah, so I'll go over the schedule for that later, but first, we probably got some new people watching. At least that's what I hope in my heart. So, I would like to do some sort of introduction. For anyone who's new, this is a podcast where we discuss games with a unique take that sort of combines content creator related perspective, because I've studied game design, with consumer perspective, which is where people like May come in, you know, so we kind of take a look at games.
I love consuming games.
She eats games very regularly.
You can say that about me.
Yep. She consumes games in a very violent and aggressive way. It's disturbing. It's terrible to watch. So we won't be watching that. But what we will be doing,
maybe later.
Maybe in a later episode. Maybe in the next sode, if you will.
I won't.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of covered base with that. As for, like, anybody who's unfamiliar with the site, obviously, website's Mustapha's Game Room. A lot of game news, reviews. A little bit about me. I studied game design in college, recently graduated with a bachelor's degree in game art and development. I am a staff writer and editor on MMO Examiner, which is a up-and-coming site with some pretty decent traffic, mostly MMO stuff, but I tend to be our console specialist, especially as it pertains to Nintendo and all their stuff. And also, I've done a little bit of development with a small independent team called Massive Hot Games. Those of you who were around for the first set of episodes remember we did like a whole post-mortem with photos and everything about the games that we developed together. So, I understand games a lot from the perspective of press and being a critic, as well as some actual development experience. As for games that I play, favorite game, Xenoblade Chronicles, hands down. Love myself a big, beautiful world to explore with a fantastic soundtrack. You know, that's kind of what I'm into. Recently, what I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone, big into the TCG scene now, and a little bit of extra Smash Bros here and there, and of course Breath of the Wild, which everybody's been into. Switch
everyone that has a Switch.
Yep. May's a little bitter.
A little bit. I'm gonna win one though soon though, so it's fine.
May, why don't you tell the beautiful folks sitting at home a little bit about yourself and like what games you're into.
Your best friend, May, and I'm here for you. I am studying graphic design. Yep. I also do freelance illustration and graphic design work. Please hire me. My favorite game is Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for the Game Boy SP and the Game Boy SP only. And the game I'm playing right now is called Bravely Default. I was playing that right now, actually. I just closed it. I was in the middle of a boss battle.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that we are wasting...
No, I won. I won the boss battle.
Oh, thank goodness. Because I would not want to take away from that. I myself just found a new shrine in Breath of the Wild. You know, it's kind of like a whole big thing. But we're here to talk games with you, the viewers. at home, and I'm super happy to be back and to be doing this. But as I said, we're here on business, and we are talking about E3, which is coming up really soon. So, hold on, let me just get my stuff right over here so I can moderate the chat.
Wow. Be a little more prepared next time. I have my notes up. I'm looking
I
at
have my notes. I was trying to make sure that I'm good to moderate the chat on mobile, so that way I can look at the notes. Okay, so, you know,
start a flame war in the chat.
Everybody who tunes into E3 is pretty much aware that it's like probably the biggest event for avid gamers of the entire year. So, we're really pumped about new hardware announcements, software announcements, and so on. It's the time where, like, if your dream game announcement were ever to happen throughout the year, it's probably going to happen at E3. Unless you're me, and it was Xenoblade 2 announced back in January. But, and we're kind of in an interesting spot right now, because it's been a long time since the start of this cycle of consoles. But standard console generations seems to be a concept that's kind of taking a back seat to these sort of iterative versions of existing consoles. So, like, we've had Xbox One and PS4 for the past few years, but I think rather than moving on to the next step for those consoles, we've got PS4 Pro, which is like the new 4K version of the PS4, and then we've got Project Scorpio coming out, which is like this massive,
very cool, very edgy name,
super bulky, crazy powerful Xbox for people who want to, like, shell out some super high-end costs to meet those demands. My opinion on the idea of the console cycles kind of taking a backseat to this is that it's weird, above all else. It's a very strange direction for consoles to be going in, primarily because of the fact that modularity has kind of been a key feature for PC gaming for decades, and sort of the buy one baseline product idea has been the sole reason to buy consoles for like the past 10 years. So kind of moving in a direction that makes consoles more like PC almost makes them obsolete just inherently.
Hot take.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to see them going in that direction, and I wonder if what it's eventually going to lead to is just game companies creating their own PCs, or game consoles kind of just dying out as a breed. I don't know. I mean, obviously those are very big leaps, and for this E3, I sincerely doubt we'll be dealing with those concepts.
As someone who doesn't have, like, a big console, like, right now, if I was going to shell out a bunch of money for something like an Xbox or a PS4, I would probably just get, like, a PC, unless it was, like, a Switch, which has kind of, like, a fun twist on it.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, if I did decide right now, like, I've owned my PS4 for a while, but, like, if I went out to buy the PS4, and I saw there's the regular one and the PS4 Pro, I'm probably still going to stick with the standard one, because 4K displays, first of all, are not yet super prominent in homes. Like, you do not walk into the average house and see a 4K curved screen, while Samsung $10,000 TV. Like, that's just not, like, a lot of monitors, people are shelling out money for 4K display, but it's not enough of a pull to justify a $400 price leap. It's not enough money to justify me wanting to abandon the PlayStation I already have, and, like, most of the big exclusives were already optimized for the console I own. So why am I going to, take that extra step forward for one small leap in resolution? Like, it's just not enough.
One small leap for PS4's one giant. I messed it up.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Honestly, though, I'm proud of the attempt you just made. I'm happy for the leap you tried to go with there.
It's my first podcast. I'm trying to get these jokes out the gate.
Yeah, we gotta keep providing them with content. Otherwise, they'll get angry. And I've seen them get angry before. They take control of your computer. The whole thing, it goes wild.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So in terms of hardware, Project Scorpio is probably the headliner. Like, this is probably going to be when we hear what this console actually is. And based on what was said, all we can say is that it's a titan of an Xbox right now. That's all we know. So there's not a whole lot to predict on that front. I personally, Sony's probably not going to announce much of anything either, actually, because they also just launched the PS4 Pro, and then PSVR just came out. So hardware for them also is not really going to be the focus of this E3, which is good, and I'll get to why that's good later. But as for Nintendo, they just launched their console like 2 months ago. So it's going to be interesting.
Switch 2.
Yeah, it's good. I
Probably
sincerely
not coming to a GameStop near you. Actually, they haven't even gotten Switches to a GameStop.
Yeah, they don't have the first one, so
the Switch 2, it's in stock this time.
Yeah. I sincerely doubt it. They have issues with manufacturing and supply and demand constantly. But supposedly production's supposed to kick up like normal starting in June. So, all you out there who are hoping on a Nintendo Switch to magically come into your home and you've somehow held out hope and haven't just caved and bought a bundle, first of all, I respect you a lot. Second of all, it's not for nothing. You're going to get your Switch eventually.
But probably not before the Splatoon test fire start. So
probably
get yourself
not,
a bundle
yeah.
if you want to be part of that.
Yeah, true.
Because I think those are in June, right?
Probably. The game comes out in July. The ARMS test fire starts tomorrow, which, by the way, I'm so excited for. If my capture card had come in, I would just stream the ARMS global test, but I can't.
Not yet.
No. What I'm excited for most for Nintendo, though, is any potential... Because the thing about the Switch that makes it so cool for me is that I find the technology to be very, like, sleek and, like, modular. So I like being
able to take a bite out of the Switch. I look at it.
Yes,
it looks like a candy bar.
The Switch is one of those few consoles that I've looked at and thought, man, this would probably taste awesome. Like, yeah.
I mean, if the cartridges taste so bad, maybe it's to hide the fact that the console itself tastes amazing.
Yeah. That being said, I wouldn't want to risk my teeth or the screen trying to figure that out.
I would just nibble on one of those Joy-Cons.
True, the Joy-Cons, Joy-Cons were actually what I wanted to touch on because, the thing about those is that they've already announced that they're doing Splatoon ones, I'm pretty sure. They said they're doing, yellow ARMS Joy-Cons. I really just want them to keep announcing a whole slew of exclusive Joy-Con types, because I'm looking to get, like, an extra set for mine, because, I've got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I think is probably best.
And you have so many friends that also want to play Mario Kart Deluxe.
It's probably best with 4 players, so I imagine I'd want to have, like, 4 Joy-Cons to the Switch. And then also, like, I know Nintendo's going to announce, like, a stupid amount of Amiibo at this event. Like, last year's E3 was when they announced all the Mario Party Star Rush Amiibo, which were, like, it was, like, the second series of Mario Party Amiibo, and it included, like, Waluigi, Daisy.
Oh, yeah. Waluigi, my favorite.
The glow-in-the-dark Boo, and, like, Donkey Kong and a few other... Or was it Diddy Kong?
Waluigi is the only Amiibo I own.
I probably own too many. But, I'd like to see more situations for all those to get put to use.
Because what could you even do with the Mario Party Amiibos?
Well, I think the way it works is that... Actually, no, I'm not even going to pretend to understand how it works for Star Rush, because, like, they have a whole separate mode that's just Amiibo, and the Mario Party games haven't been good since the GameCube, so I'm not even going to, like, try to pretend like...
I like the one with Bowser. I like being Bowser. That was fun.
Mario Party 10. That's the most recent one. I hate that game a lot.
Why?
I think it,
Don't be afraid of your feelings for Bowser.
No, I love Bowser. Bowser's my hero, and, like, if you told me back when Mario Party 3 came out, oh man, you get to play as Bowser and ruin the lives of your friends, like, that would be crazy good. Like, I'd be super hyped about that.
Mm-hmm.
But the
But
very fundamentals of Mario Party that made it a fun series are completely absent in Mario Party 10. So it's like, yeah, you can play as Bowser, but at what cost? You kind of lost everything that made these games. Like, so
the
the
only
joke
experience
used to
I've had
be.
with the GameCube Mario parties have been the ones in my local McDonald's that are like in the basement of it, and like they don't work anymore.
So I imagine those aren't ideal memories given the
I can watch
context.
the start screen for them. I preferred the Disney skateboarding game because it
um,
worked.
like my issue with Mario Party 10 was that the reputation of Mario Party going back to the 90s was that it was the game you played if you wanted your friendships to die. Like you got in a whole bunch of arguments and it was this really like intense competitive experience. And it was also really funny. Like you steal
Now I don't
somebody's
need
star.
video games to do that.
Somebody's been playing through the whole game and they've collected 5 stars. And in one turn, by chance alone, they can just lose everything. Which, like, from a game design perspective, is actually really bad. But, like, in practice, with a large group of spectators, is actually one of the most fun experiences that local games can provide. So, like, that's why the more recent games, with their emphasis on cooperation, I feel like have kind of gutted.
Oh, but you don't like Mario Party because it has too much friendship in it now.
Yes, exactly. They've gutted the essence of what the game was. That it was this gross backstabbing competitive experience. It wasn't ever supposed to be Mario's happy friendship time. It was ruin your buddy's day time. Because someone in the chat says, Mario Party 10's Amiibo mode was literally a board game where you scan your Amiibo for every individual turn. It was like
That's
passing.
what I heard too.
It was like passing a joint, except it prevents laughter. Wow. Funny.
That's a good review.
Yeah. See, I could go on forever about why a lot of what they did there was pretty bad, but I want to touch on some of the stuff we have here on this list for our most anticipated software. So, let me just really quick get to Zelda Mobile is sitting pretty at the top because it's been confirmed. What the heck does a Zelda game for mobile even look like? And the reason I ask this is because mobile games up to this point for Nintendo, Super Mario Run, which is Mario with most of its mechanics taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mario,
Fire
but
Emblem.
hey, guess what? We made it bad.
Yeah, Fire Emblem
I hope you
Heroes.
like it. But hey, you can play it with one hand.
The
That
thing
was a
about
big
like
selling point
thing
for
about
some
Super
reason.
Mario Run though is that it's a cute concept, and I could see it being a successful mobile game if it weren't for the paywall. Like
Yeah.
the literal paywall. Like at least just tell me from the get go that the game costs money. You know, the way they handled that was just it was abominable. It was very very upsetting. But as for like Fire Emblem Heroes, same thing. Fire Emblem, but without a lot of its core mechanics. It's supposed to be a cute time killer. How do you do Zelda without most of its mechanics? Because like otherwise it's just basic movement and sword swinging. I mean, they could make like a top-down actual Zelda game, but I don't feel like that's the way they're gonna go. Not for a mobile title.
Like if they went back to like really really old Zelda and was like, here, you don't have to emulate it now. Just it's on your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
That's initially what I thought it would be like, but I don't think Nintendo would do something that pandering to people who are nostalgic for old Zelda. On the subject of mobile games, hey, remember when they announced Animal Crossing Mobile and then never said anything else ever about it?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting.
Now, Animal Crossing Mobile, I would probably bet money on us seeing it this year at E3 in some capacity. Like, I feel as though that's a given almost, which I know is like a really risky thing to say with Nintendo, but like, this is the first E3 since they kind of really kicked their mobile thing into like full gear, so I feel as though we're gonna be seeing something, you know.
I hope so.
Animal Crossing Mobile, I feel like it's got to be like the easiest undertaking because there's so many aspects of those games that are just made for the cell phone experience.
It'll probably just be like Animal Crossing, but like probably more focused on like your house and like
Yeah, it'll
less on
probably be
like
like
a
a
town.
Happy Home
Mhm.
Designer, which came out for
Yeah,
3DS, or
that's
is
what I was
just
thinking.
that's probably just what they're gonna
Happy
do.
Home Designer probably with more of like the social aspect
Yeah,
of both talking to like your real life friends and then probably having like animals that you can. I don't know how they're gonna do because I don't think it'll be like a town like
they
how
might
like
do a town, but it
they
might
could.
not
I
be.
feel
It might not be an actual Animal Crossing sized town. It might just be like a little square plaza with
or
animals living in their house, and then you could probably like send them back and forth to your
or maybe
friends.
it'll be something more like Animal Crossing and then like you can click on like if you want to go to Brewster's or if you want to go to the museum and then there will be animals there for you to
Mm-hmm.
interact with,
Ooh,
something like that.
that sounds like that could be it.
Like it would be more like icons that you click on to go to places rather than like a physical like plaza that you would walk around or like a town, something like that.
At the end of this series, because we're only going to do 3 episodes of this one before the E3 coverage starts, we should compile all of our most confident predictions and make like a little bingo game
Yes.
out of it. That'd be pretty cool. And I can like check stuff off on the screen. I do have the technological capacity to make that happen using
Heck
MS
yeah.
Paint. So,
High tech.
but yeah, Animal Crossing Mobile, that's going to be a big one because that'll be the first of the games that they're bringing to mobile that has like an innately social idea
Mm-hmm.
embedded in the design of the game it's based on.
I
So,
really don't want it to be like a like Mitomo was like an interesting idea for
mhm.
a game, but it died so quickly, and I can
Yeah,
see a lot of the social aspects of Animal Crossing just being like lifted from Mitomo.
yeah, I think Mitomo was kind of in a weird position because it was jump-starting Nintendo really taking a step into social networking in a way that was not Miiverse, in a way people would
And data
actually...
gathering mostly.
Yeah, and like, it was interesting as an idea, but you had like people who didn't play Tamagotchi Life, who just didn't know what to expect, and then you had people like me who played and loved Tamagotchi Life, who were kind of like, this is it? You know, like we were hoping to have a little
Yeah.
bit more of the things that made that game cool. Because, like, Tamagotchi Life, let me just say, was an unsung hero of the 3DS.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh
I
my
ended
god.
up selling it after like a month for $10 to
I
one of my
played that game every day for an entire summer. Like, it was probably one of the funniest things. Because, like, once you get in your mind how you want to implement people into your apartment complex, like the ball just gets to rolling, and it
I think
is.
that I was just mad because I made two anime boyfriends in it, and then I accidentally got married to one, and then I spent the rest of the game trying to divorce him. But because of Tomodachi life's weird, like you can't just like divorce someone or get
Yeah,
married to someone. I was never able to do it,
yeah.
and so I sold it.
I May, I don't know if that actually is like a flaw of the game though.
Yeah, I don't know if that now that I'm like looking back at it, maybe my criticisms of Tomodachi Life they could have been more directed towards me, perhaps. Maybe if I was
Yeah.
asked to do a review of unbiased review of Tomodachi Life, maybe I wouldn't include it. I couldn't divorce my anime boyfriend because I wanted to marry a different anime boyfriend. So maybe I wouldn't include that one in
Yeah.
there. But
I don't know. I
we'll
mean,
see.
potentially.
I'm sure a lot of other people had that glitch. You know,
Yeah.
that issue with the game.
The situation that I found in Tomodachi Life, because like the way I made it fun for myself, like I've been writing a book for the last couple of years, like a little fiction thing that I do for myself, and like I made all of my characters into my apartment people, and all of the pairings kind of got messed up from what I'd written. And first of all, some of them, like one of them happened, and I was like, oh my god, why did I not think of this? And then, like, I'm actually going to write that in. And, like, the rest of it was just interesting because, like, some of the characters by accident actually adopted their own personalities, like, the way that I had kind of wanted them to go. So it was, like, it was super cool to get to sort of It was like getting to simulate what they would be like if they really kind of just lived in a space and get to sort of watch that play out. So it's a really good writing tool if anybody's looking to jumpstart the
If
creative
anyone's
process.
looking in the year of our Lord 2017 to get back into Tomodachi Life, maybe that's your jumpstart.
Yeah. Just
Maybe I'll go buy back my copy of Tomodachi Life.
so
So I'm
that
sure
way
the guy I sold it to is still really into it. He probably plays it every day. I'm sorry.
it's a good game. It is like it's got good ideas. You know, I love it. I love it. I can't get
Can't get
over it.
enough? I think you probably did get enough. When was the last time you played Tomodachi Life?
Okay, hold on. That's not exactly fair.
I'm sorry.
I am a person of many games, okay? It comes with the territory of my job. But eventually I will get back into Tomodachi Life. I promise that.
Okay. Alright.
I am promising you, May Mullen, and you, the viewers, that I will get back into Tomodachi Life.
Hey,
You can,
keep me updated on
you can
that.
hold me to it, okay?
I will. I will.
Alright.
Do it.
Now, stepping out of the realm of Nintendo into God of War, which is one of Sony's headliners for this year. I personally am very excited for it because it looks to be a pretty serious departure from previous games of the series, which were like your sort of standard issue hack and slash kind of games. But now it looks like there might be like small elements of like resource management and inventory and like a little bit more RPG-esque content. And I think that there's some real strength to that because sort of when a game steps out of its genre. Well, no, usually when a game has run its course, we see a series end. Very rarely do we see a game series run its course and then try and revitalize itself by stepping into a different genre, almost. And it looks like a lot of the heart of God of War is still going to be there, but that it's sort of stepping...
Oh, this is the game with the dad, right?
Yes!
I remember that. I remember that from last E3.
Yeah.
I don't think I watched the trailer for it during E3, but I just remember people were talking a lot about some good dad content.
Yeah, no, it was like, it was super weird, because, like, the best way to open up discussion about a game is to show somebody doing something that's in character and out of character at the same time, which actually is a super good transition into the next game we're talking about, which is The Last of Us 2, because the trailer for that game mastered subtlety to a T. Like, it opens with... I don't even want to go into the details of it, because The Last of Us is so narrative-heavy that you don't want to spoil content for people who haven't played it yet. But I'm going to put a spoiler alert, because I have to talk about this. So if you haven't finished The Last of Us, you might want to plug your ears for this a little bit.
Take my headphones out?
I mean, no, I'm going to be subtle enough about it where it's not, like, super deep spoilers. But, like, you see Ellie playing her guitar and singing a song, and then you kind of notice that she might have been actively killing people in the space that she's in. And, like, it does make sense. It is a logical progression, but at the same time, it is so weird to see that it instantly kind of hooks you, gets your eyes on the game, which is the best that you could hope for in this type of setting. Let me just check what our time is looking like. We're doing good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now can I talk about my very highly anticipated game that I know you don't care about?
Is it Death Stranding? Starring Norman Reedus?
Starring Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen, and Guillermo del Toro. It's Kojima's band of best friends in his whole entire world. Oh, I'm so excited for Death Stranding.
Okay. Sorry, I had
do you have any good commentary about
I had an audio thing happen.
Oh, okay, it's fine. No, I don't want this to derail from my excited talking about
No, go for it.
Oh, so apparently, before I was gonna do this, I hadn't watched, like, the new trailer with Guillermo del Toro in it. Oh, it looks so good. Oh, I'd only seen the part with Mads Mikkelsen in it, obviously. I really like that from all the trailers, you can't tell what the
Yeah.
gameplay is going to be for Death Stranding, like, at all. For all you know, Kojima could have just, like, face and body mapped, like, his good friends and, like, made a video game movie about them,
Yeah.
which, honestly, at this point, I would not put past Kojima.
Yeah. No,
Kojima's
it's the only thing we know for a fact is that it's weird. So there's
it's
something
gonna
to be
be
said for that.
exactly. But, oh, also a little bit creepy. I'm not really a big fan of babies in video
Yeah.
games, especially in scary video games.
Yeah, no,
So,
that's definitely a weird move, but
mhm.
uh, I also think that it kind of falls in line. Like the trailer for the Phantom Pain, the GDC trailer is what's coming to mind. The one that had "Not Your Kind of People," uh, like that made that game look really weird and creepy. And like, I'm not super familiar with the Metal Gear Solid games, but I don't know if that necessarily like matched the tone in its entirety
I
of the
mean,
game.
it kind of does. There's a lot of weird and creepy things in
Yeah,
basically all of the Metal Gear games. Just things that are kind of like out of place that you wouldn't find in any other video game, even close to that genre. So I would say that Death Stranding, the general tone of it, is definitely going to be as deeply unsettling as the trailer suggests. But definitely the other strong point of Kojima's games are it's going to have great characters and just even if the narrative is probably, I assume, going to be difficult to follow, it's going to be interesting.
yeah, yeah. We can count on that for sure. Kingdom Hearts 3 release date. I still don't think we're gonna get it. Moving on.
All right.
I mean, let's be honest. How long have we been talking about Kingdom Hearts 3? Like, there's only so long you can go on about like what that game's going to have before we wonder if it's ever actually going to come out.
It's
So,
going to have Goofy,
is
probably.
it gonna have a launch date? I think is probably the only question anybody wants an answer to right now. Uh,
Oh,
I'm good
I'm
with
pretty
at this
invested in
point
Goofy.
stepping over to our wish list.
Yeah.
So because that's the beauty of it, okay, is making your E3 wishes to E3 Santa Claus is probably the best experience about prepping for the event because you kind of get to just suspend disbelief and think for a moment that any game that you want to come out is actually possible because it's not at all. In fact, I don't think some of the games on this wish list are going to make it. But
Probably the ones that I added. Probably all
no,
the ones
actually, I
I
think
added.
my number one is the one that we're not going to
Oh, yeah.
get.
Well, that's a given at this point.
I really, really, really want Nintendo and Intelligent Systems to kind of come to terms with the fact that the Sticker Star Color Splash formula of Paper Mario is an absolute abomination and needs to be permanently destroyed, like decimated, like out of the window forever. And they need to go back to the glory days of like Thousand Year Door and the original title, or even Super Paper Mario. Like I will settle at this point. I just want a game from the Paper Mario series that is like moderate, like something that's good. Just a game that is
Maybe
good.
something on like a ladder up to it being great
Yeah,
again.
yeah, exactly. Like let's
Just
take a
hey, how
step in the
about
right
how
direction.
about you make a Paper Mario game, but not bad
Just here's an idea.
concept.
Make an actual Paper Mario game. Like that'd probably be the best way to go about it, you know. And that's what I'm hoping for, but I know like Color Splash just came out. So the odds of that happening probably not very great. But Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which like dedicated fans will know, came out in like 2003 or
Which
4, I think,
dedicated
is
Mario
now
fans will
getting
know.
it's getting remade, and that's pretty wild. Like there have been a lot of leaks about it. It hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but I imagine it's going to get confirmed at E3. It's getting remade for the 3DS, which is kind of strange to me. Like I understand why Nintendo's supporting the 3DS still because it's got like probably their biggest user base in like a
Hmm.
decade, but the Switch is a
I just
handheld.
bought right before the Switch came out. I just bought the new 3DS, so I'd really like it if they kept coming out with games
Yeah,
for
no,
it.
totally. I think it's awesome that they're still coming out with games for it, but I think they need to start entertaining the idea of having upscaled versions of those games come out for the Switch.
Mhm.
Because there's still
Which is
the
let me
handheld
lead
market.
that into my next question. are they gonna come out with a Pokemon game for Switch? Are they
Isn't that
gonna?
the question? And is a
Mhm.
Pokemon game for Switch going to be a traditional Pokemon game like the mainline games, or is it going to
Mhm.
be like Pokemon XD or Coliseum or one of those titles?
Which would be so, or Pokemon Snap. I thought that they announced Pokemon Snap for the Nintendo Switch, but it turned out upon further reflection that I dreamed that happened. I don't know if that was a real thing that happened,
Which
but
means deep down in your soul you believe that it's a possibility.
I know I
I
don't. I've never played Pokemon Snap, and honestly, it doesn't really look like a game I would be very into. But I think the collective nostalgia of people who really played it and really loved it kind of like seeped
yeah.
into my subconscious.
I think that they're probably going to do a main game. Honestly, I think this is kind of going to be their leap into an upscaled Pokemon game, like an
I'm
actually.
wondering if they're gonna remake Pokemon Diamond and Pearl for the Switch, and also if they do it for the Switch, they'll probably do it for the 3DS. I think it would be pretty ridiculous if there was a Pokemon Switch game, but not a 3DS game, which I think would be the first time a main series Pokemon game was ever released on multiple consoles.
Yeah, but if it were to come out on the Switch, it would be the first time that it would come out exclusively on a home console, which is also a handheld. And I wonder if I would say I think that Pokemon coming out exclusively on the Switch would be the right move. And the only reason I say that
Rude.
is because, well, hold on, no, I say this solely because we've now had 2 generations of main games and 1 set of remakes on the 3DS, which by Pokemon rules is kind of the quota. Like that's how it happened on the DS. It was Pearl, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, the remakes of the Gen 2 games, and then Black and White 2, which are the same gen. And
Mhm.
for the GBA, it was, well, no, it's just Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and the remakes of the Gen 1 games. So, like, they've kind of developed the tradition of limiting it to 2 new gens per console since the DS. So I wonder if then that's their excuse to be like, okay, we're finally going to do this big. It's going to be HD Pokemon, which would be a first.
HD Pokemon, I reach in, I can touch the Pokemon with my hand.
That's not what HD is.
That's what it is. I just said it, and that's what it is.
That's closer to 3D, which we've already had for a while for
Oh,
Pokemon.
I could just turn on the 3D and I could hold the Pokemon in my hand.
I mean, kinda,
Life
yes.
hacks in that kind of
Like,
deal.
Smash Bros, I think, is the game that does 3D the best. Not in its gameplay, but in the trophy gallery. Like, that stuff really pops out. It's kind of weird. Messes with my head a little bit.
I
Kind of
think
makes.
all the 3D stuff kind of messes with my head. I forgot to turn it off when I started Bravely Default,
Mhm.
and it gave me a headache
I
just looking at it.
played all of Xenoblade Chronicles in full 3D.
Uh,
And that was like 200 hours.
Yikes.
Yeah. So at this point, either my eyes don't work or I'm just immune to it. Which
Immune
I
just to
think
the
my
Wii.
eyes work. I can tell by your bright blue hair. So Pokemon Switch, that's a big one. That's one I'm not even, like, people who watched last year know. I'm not huge into Pokemon. Don't really care for it that much, but I understand the importance of the series as a
I love Pokemon. I love Pokemon with all my heart. I'll kill
I'm
anyone who
not
says otherwise.
I am not a hater. I'm not a person who is shunning the mainstream. I am a former Pokemon fan scorned, I will say, because Ruby and Sapphire were my favorite games, and I felt as though the remakes
No
were
one likes the remakes. They were bad.
they
I
were
hated
really
the
bad.
remake.
But the
Play
thing
Sun
is,
and Moon. Let Sun and Moon
Heart Gold and
welcome me
Soul
back.
Silver were really good though, and Fire Red and Leaf Green were awesome. And they remade my favorite games and they messed it up. So I took it as a personal attack, and I will not be playing Pokemon games anymore.
That's ridiculous.
No,
That's a
okay.
ridiculous thing for you to say.
I do
We're
not
moving
want to.
on now. I want a
Oh,
Final Fantasy.
I
There's
don't
been a
want
lot of
to.
buzz about Final Fantasy lately because of the new good Final Fantasy road trip game. However, perhaps they should consider remaking my favorite game, which is Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for the GBA. But how about this time it's for the Nintendo Switch or the 3DS because I don't have a Nintendo Switch. My main reason what I want from a Final Fantasy Tactics remake is not for them to change anything or to make it different from what it was when I played it, but I have a Game Boy Advance and I lost the charger for it, so I can't play Final Fantasy Tactics anymore
So
without an
you want one
emulator.
that's made for a thing that you can charge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be ideal
that
for
makes
me.
sense. I'm sorry. I have to go back to the Pokemon thing real quick because I do not want the viewers to feel, the viewers now or in the future when this goes on YouTube, to think that I am just saying because the remakes of Ruby and Sapphire were bad that I am abandoning one of America's most beloved series, one of the
That is
world's
what you
most
said,
beloved
to be
franchises.
fair.
That's not the sole reason. I feel as though Pokemon has fallen a bit too formulaic for me, and I understand that Sun and Moon.
Sun and Moon.
Okay, hold on. I understand. A lot of people have told me that Sun and Moon have strayed away from the formula in a lot of big ways, but I would have to be convinced that this is the direction the franchise is going in for good before I make another $40 commitment, because I've been buying the games since they were on the GBA, and more as time went on, they were just less pleasing to me. So, oh, you cannot give me that face. We have to look at things objectively. That's the nature of...
I mean, you're the one that's saying that you don't like Pokemon, but we have talked quite a bit about Pokemon, and we are on a time crunch. So
Unbelievable.
maybe you should put your Pokemon hangouts away.
Oh my god! Oh, so you're making this something that it's not. You're going to make this about me and Pokemon.
Let's talk about Infamous 4.
Let's talk about Infamous 4, because my god, do I want that to happen. So, Infamous 1 and 2, superhero stories. Really, really solid games, but mechanically paled in comparison to Infamous Second Son, which was both visually stunning and as mechanically sound as a game could be, but really lacked the sort of grandiose scale of conflict that the first two games had, in favor of a more lighthearted approach to a story about one dude in a city and trying to sort of not change the world, but small scale break down a little bit of government trouble, right? A story like The Tale of Cole McGrath, with the visuals and mechanics of Infamous Second Son, to me, is like the perfect Western game. Like, it is every bit of content that I want in my life. And for that to be announced this year would be probably like the highlight for me. That is probably the one thing that I'm looking forward to the most, is the idea that another Infamous game could come out. Provided they don't go in that direction. For those of you out there who've played Second Son, I would really like something from the perspective of either Eugene or Augustine, because Eugene's power is broken and crazy, and I would love to get to work that for a while. And Augustine could be a really good narrative tool to bridge the gap between Infamous 2 and Second Son, which I think we're kind of missing. Oh, I guess this wouldn't really be Infamous 4. I guess what I'm asking for is Infamous 3. I will change that in the notes to reflect my change of heart. I do not want a sequel to Second Son. I want a sequel to Infamous 2. So, no more reboots, guys. Let's do it big this time. Let's do it for real. Last game we have on the wish list for this week is Animal Crossing for the Switch.
Animal Crossing, but get this, it's for the Switch this time.
Yeah.
Because I honestly don't have high hopes for the mobile game. All of the mobile games thus far, I've only played for like a week max, and then kind of shorted out for me. My main appeal is that I love the animals of Animal Crossing, and I love talking to them, and I love making my town good. None of those things I think are going to be a big focus in the Animal Crossing mobile game. But they're definitely not going to release a new Animal Crossing game for the 3DS because they just added some stuff to New Leaf, which is good.
Now,
but I want more things to talk about the animals. I don't want to talk to the animals more. I want them to say more things to me.
So here's something kind of weird, right? About the mobile games, is that usually they, how do I put this? Usually the games are super dedicated but they're also free. Like, it takes time to play games like Miitomo and Fire Emblem Heroes. Like, those aren't something you can just kind of do while you're sitting in a waiting room, you know? Like, there's an actual, like, tactical component to Fire Emblem, and those games are free, and Super Mario Run is, like, the perfect mobile game, but it's behind a paywall. Like, it's the only game they've made so far that I would actually play to kill time, but I can't do it unless I fork over $10. Why though? Like that's the issue with the like. And I like Fire Emblem Heroes because it's just fan service for people who have liked the games for a long time, and I really enjoy like getting to look at all my favorite characters and new art styles and all that. But like I played Fire Emblem Heroes, like I sat down and played it. It wasn't like a thing that I
Yeah.
did when I had time to
That was
kill.
like a dedicated, like, all right, I guess it's
Yeah,
time
I
to
wouldn't
play
do a
Fire Emblem
Hearthstone
Heroes
match if
now.
I just had time to kill. Like Hearthstone is me sitting down and wanting to play a game. Oh, I guess sometimes. Even then, I could probably kill time faster with Hearthstone than I could with Fire Emblem Heroes, because I'd have to navigate through a whole bunch of menus and go through all my units and see who's
And then
optimized
I
for
would
what
have to
fight.
update it every time I opened it. Which,
Manage a crap ton of resources, which is it's just too much. It's too much. And then I had this weird thing where like the first day I played it, I played for probably an hour, and then I was like, oh, never mind. I'm just gonna play Fire Emblem because I own it. So I was like, which I think is probably the goal, but like they probably want to sell more Fire Emblem games, which is
that makes
fair.
sense.
But like, I don't know, it just wasn't enough for me. So I feel like the Animal Crossing game.
Also, I've kind of like, I feel like gacha games, they've already cornered the market on them. Like for people, like I feel like Fire Emblem Heroes with a lot of people that came from playing the Fire Emblem main series games, and not a lot of people that are like mobile game fans.
Yeah.
Like gacha game, like we already have like the closest game that's popular now. I would say would be like Grand Blue Fantasy, which is like a traditional JRPG, but like on your phone with like a gacha element to it. But it's a little more complex and has a little more meat to it, I
Yeah.
would say, than Fire Emblem Heroes, though, but still in like a gacha element. And then of course there's like Love Live and like Show by Rock and so many other gacha games that I feel like Fire Emblem Heroes didn't really attract as many of them as
Yeah.
it probably wanted, considering that orbs you could buy like buy the orbs. Yeah. Fire
Let me
Emblem
just get the
Echoes.
show info. Let me find this. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure that before because I forgot that I skipped over an early part of the notes, I said I'd get to it later, which was us going over the schedule for the streams, which is mostly going to be, I'm sorry, let me just get to the site here for E3. Because I had it written down, but you know how it goes.
I'm doing a stream right now. So yeah. Talk to you later.
So what we've got here is as follows. Actually, I'm just gonna go. Yeah, based on what we have here. So June 11th at 3:30 p.m. we will be doing the Xbox stream. Same day, June 11th, we will be doing at 11:30 the Bethesda stream. Is that right? Yes, that's right. That's late. Wow. On the
I go to
12th,
sleep at 11.
the 12th, which is the Monday, at 3:30 p.m. will be Ubisoft's, which is actually my favorite stream to cover. And then that night at 9:30, 8:30. Oh wow, yeah, they're doing it early. 8:30 is when Sony will be doing theirs on that Monday. And the Tuesday at around like 11:30 will be when Nintendo does theirs. So basically we'll be doing stuff from Sunday to Tuesday is the plan. And we might cover EA, but last year they were a little bit underwhelming, and they got us the least amount of views. So we might find a way to make that time better spent.
Also, I don't know anything about EA games at all.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean
I have to do a lot of research.
I'm pretty familiar with a lot of like EA's IPs, and you'd be surprised. Like you know a lot of them, but you don't know that you know them because they kind of own everybody. But like even like the big ones, like BioWare is probably going to be a little bit on the silent side. You know, EA Sports games. I don't feel like this is the demographic for that. Like that's not
Nope.
who we're trying to reach here. I
Sports,
mean,
sports ball. I
you
think
can
someone
go
can
over it
love
to try and be
that.
as inclusive as
I love
possible.
sports ball.
Yeah, sports ball is that's what Dr. Lovebox just put in the chat. Sports ball. Also, who do you think will steal the show? That's a good question, and I think that can be our sort of closer for the show is to talk about who we think will steal the show and why. May Mullen, would you like to go first? I gotta think on that one.
I'm gonna say Nintendo with their very anticipated Final Fantasy Tactics Switch release. That's really gonna knock everyone out of the park. They're gonna be like, "Why would they do that? What a dumb idea!" And they're gonna be like, they're gonna look at the screen and Reggie Fils-Aimé is gonna point at me direct. I don't think actually Reggie Fils-Aimé is not gonna be the person. Probably no, it will be him.
He might
Anyway,
be.
Reggie
I
Fils-Aimé
hope
will
so.
be there, and he'll look into my eyes and he'll say, "May, I'm sorry that you lost your Game Boy Advance charger, but guess what? Here's you don't have a Switch either. Actually, never mind. This is Never mind.
Who do I think will steal the show? Complicated question, because by steal the show, do you mean who will have the best content to show, or who will have the best press conference? Because almost always, best press conference is going to go to Ubisoft, because they usually bring in Aisha Tyler, who's hilarious, and then she insults everybody who gets on stage. Last year they had dancing animals, so that was who will have the dankest memes. Absolutely, Ubisoft, Dr. Lovebox. It will 100% be them, but otherwise, I mean, in terms of memes and meme-related content, we'll have Ubisoft do it kind of well, and we'll have Microsoft do the cringiest way possible of pursuing that path. Like, remember when they announced the Kinect, and Justin Bieber was kind of a big frontliner for that whole discussion.
I forgot about that.
You see, I wish I could, but no, that's burned in here forever. So I'm hoping that the way they go about memes in general is minimal, if at all possible.
I don't want them to try too hard.
Yeah, but keep memes out of it. You know, do your thing, and then if you feel like memes are a must, go for it. You know, but as of right now, please no. In terms of who do I think will show the best games, I don't think it'll be Microsoft. I mean, I last year I thought the same thing, and I was proven very, very wrong. Microsoft had the best press conference last year. They had the most hardware announcements, the controllers that you could customize. They announced a whole bunch of games that were multi-platform. They had a weird game with the dude with headphones that never came out, and it was like 4 people online slaying a dragon, and it was like this cool anime vibe, and I think it was developed by Platinum, but it got canceled, and that was really sad. So maybe something about that. I just don't... Scalebound, that's the one, thank you. Yeah, I feel as though Microsoft killed it last year. I just do not have anything in my mind right now that tells me that they're going to be able to bring the same level this year. Because, like,
Scalebound 2.
From Software is probably not going to announce anything. You know, Platinum, I don't know if they'd have anything for Microsoft. That they've proven over this past year that they really don't have the market on, you know, these sort of niche Japanese games. Like, it just doesn't work on their platform. I expect a lot of Overwatch. Because people are going to try and milk that for all it's worth. Like, especially...
Oh, wait. I forgot something from my wish list, and it's a real game, not a fake one. The World Ends With You 2.
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing about that, right?
So long.
I believe in my heart that that's going to happen, and it'll probably get announced at this event, and no, it just won't come out, or if it does, it'll come out 7 years from now. Because now, if you remember E3, I remember the year that they announced. It was 2012 when they announced Kingdom Hearts 3. It was either 2012 or 2013. Either way, it's been a really long time, and the game had been in development for a little while before that. That's actually when they announced Final Fantasy 15 too, which is like a 10-year dev cycle. That being said, Final Fantasy 15 might be one of the most perfect looking games I've ever seen, like visually. So that's probably something to do with it. But I think they'd probably announce this for Lens with You. The game was popular enough where the cast played a pretty big role in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance,
Yeah.
which was my favorite of the games in that series. But I mean, it's absolutely possible.
And also, The World Ends With You just got like an iPad and like iPhone, like iOS like thing, which I guess not recently, but like within recent. Actually, no, that was probably like 4 years ago, but it's still on the radar.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
think there was a countdown on their website that was like, and everyone was like, "Oh, the second one," but no, it was just the iOS one.
one game that I know won't be there, but has been announced is Life is Strange 2, or some variation of a Life is Strange sequel.
Like
or
a
other.
stranger.
Yep. That's it. Who won E3? This podcast, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved Life is Strange. Like, that game holds a very special place in my heart for its management of its tone. Dialogue in that game was absolute, pure, unadulterated garbage. Like, on a level that I can't even fathom in my mind. Like, overarching narrative, super strong. There were occasionally these moments where they would get it right, and the voice acting would be really good, and the lines would be super not clunky, and it would, like, really strike a chord with you. Like, especially in, like, the most pivotal scenes of the narrative, which is good, because those are the scenes that you want to be done without a hitch. But, like, the casual conversations and interactions between characters felt very contrived. So I hope that they get a writing staff that has a little bit more experience
With
interacting with the demographic
With
that they're trying to.
teens,
Yes, with
relating to
teens.
teens.
They need to relate to teens more. And, not in like a. Don't follow me around using hip hop lingo. Not that I'm a teen. But, like, it's just, you gotta. You have to create authentic dialogue that reflects the climate of the times. And it's not to say your game has to be 110% 2017, because then it won't age well. But, like, if you go back and watch a show from the 90s, you're not going to be completely blown away by the way characters speak to each other. You're not going to be like, nobody would ever say that, because something about the dialogue feels authentic enough in nature. People say things with a certain amount of confidence that makes it feel real to you. These voice actors probably read these lines and were like, what? And that's how it sounds when they're reading them. So I really have a very strong desire for Life is Strange to do well. But I do not think I think the bar needs to be set way, way higher. So, holding that hope. But that game won't be at E3. They've already confirmed that, the guys that don't nod. So that sucks. But, I just want to go back real quick to who do I think will steal the show? Who do I think will have the best games? And I think my answer is probably going to be Sony, because they've got a lot of big titles to follow through on from last year, as well as the potential for many new announcements, a lot of which will be in 4K because their PS4 Pro is what they're trying to push right now. Otherwise, I'm really, really, really hoping for some strong game announcements for the Switch, because I have one, and Zelda's great and all, but I want to see what the console can do at its best. And there has yet to be a first-party title, besides ARMS, built from the ground up for the system. So I feel like Mario Odyssey is probably going to be the big kicker for that, and I'm glad that that's going to be what they're focusing on at this press conference. But, here's to hoping that there's a lot more. And a release date for Xenoblade 2, my god. Please, please give that up, because I will pre-order that game right now. Dare me, I will. Actually, no, I will not. Not right now. But I will buy it. I will own it. Launch day, hands down. I bought Xenoblade X on launch day, so. Hey, what was that eye roll, okay? I'm a fan. I am a fan of the series. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, it sucks for the Switch, though, because they announced a lot of really cool games back in January, so it's like, what are you going to surprise me with at this point? They announced Fire Emblem Warriors, which is literally something that I said I really wish they would do, like, 3 years ago. So, like, at this point, I don't really know how I can be surprised by Nintendo, because they've announced everything that I want, so I'm just kind of like, huh. I mean, if they come up with a good Paper Mario...
What would Nintendo give you at this point?
A good Paper Mario. That's probably the... That's the kicker for me.
If we want to get back to my wish list, Nintendo can give me a lot. Nintendo owes me a lot. I would say.
Yeah?
Personally,
Did you do them a big favor?
I did, but I don't want to get into it right now. But let's just say that, well, wink.
Don't like that. Alright.
That wasn't... No.
Alright, so.
I saved Mario.
We are now...
I saved the game, Mario.
Really proud of you.
Would be nothing without me.
We're gonna go over that story next week in greater detail, but I think we are just about at quitting time. So, I would like to do what was our final segment last year in every episode, which was Game of the Week. So, the game that this past week has held your heart in the grip of its hands and loved you more than a person could. You know?
Forever will.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, I will kick us off by saying The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I beat like 2 months ago, is still holding my interest as though it's brand new, just because of the sheer amount of content and ways that you can experience the game and lenses through which you can view your character and their experiences. Which, for just being Link, seems kind of weird, right? But I can't really, like, explain it. Like, given the different ways that you can make him look and act, like, it kind of feels as though your experience is your own to mold. You can kind of mentally write your own backstory for why you're going about things a certain way or what's led you to the road you're taking. And there's still a whole bunch of extra content coming with the DLC packs, which they're also probably going to announce at E3. Next week we're going to go over that too, because the DLC is going to be really big. May Mullen, what is your game of the week? It can be mobile, it can be anything.
I'd like to give a special shout out to Fish Fly Fever, which is a mobile game that was released a couple weeks ago for iOS and then also on itch.io. It's really good. The musical tracks are amazing. It's made by like indie developers. The art is like mesmerizing. You can progress in the game even if you're bad at it, which if you play it enough, you won't be bad at it anymore. I'm still working my way there. You can unlock new fish flies. They each come with their own soundtrack and theme song. All the music is incredible. It's like, I think it's like $2 now, so there's no reason for you not to buy it. Go out, go get Fish Fly Fever.
Groovy.
It's really good.
Guys, now that we have done our game of the week, it is time to say a profound and wonderful farewell. Farewell to you, the viewers at home. So, thank you all for tuning in. It has been a great first episode. Special thanks to you, May Mullen, my partner in crime, for coming on here and talking video games with us. We will be back next week. I will not say at the same time because, as we know, things get a little crazy. So, this will be going up on YouTube super soon. So, stay tuned. Those of you who follow the Game Room on social media, I will be sharing this on those pages as well. Though I guess that doesn't really matter to you because if you're hearing me say this, you don't really need that information.
Nope.
Weird, right? Talking to your future self and future people is weird. Yeah, practice for that. So, thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week with more predictions, more wish lists, more anticipated software, and a couple of quick reminders for you. So yeah, that's that. Thanks again for tuning in, and come back soon for more from the Game Room.
Thanks for having me.
And end. That's not end.